This episode of the Fight Within podcast is presented to you by Meguiar's. For over 115 years, Meguiar's has been carefully creating and producing advanced formulas with cutting-edge chemistry to deliver a show car perfect appearance. Whether you're showing on the fairway, finalizing your car for auction, or simply getting your beloved car ready for a weekend drive, Meguiar's is ready to help with their premium car care products to make every automotive surface look its absolute best. Meguiar's, reflect your passion. Make sure to visit them at meguiars.com.
What's up, guys, and welcome to another episode of the Fight Within podcast. Today's guest is Truong Kim. Thanks for coming on, man. You're a serial entrepreneur, and there's a lot of different things that you have your hand in. But take us back to what was your motivation? Like, why entrepreneurship? Why get yourself involved in different businesses? Yeah. Like, we were talking a little bit off air, and we had mentioned, like, I was kind of sharing my story a little bit and told you that I don't necessarily like working for people, but I love working with people.
Yeah.
What was that a driving factor for you to kind of start your own businesses and kind of go off and venture off and do your own thing?
You know, that's not the main driver. It's a small piece of it. I think the main driver is, so I'll go back a little bit.
Yeah,
I was working 9 to 5 in an office and doing security engineer. I mean, I was doing that for years, and I loved it, But I felt like, I was doing well, I was making great money, had my own house, car, motorcycle, really everything I wanted.
I'd say all the goods.
I wouldn't say everything I wanted, but like I was happy, a good life. I was, had my own place, and I just realized my parents are getting older. They're immigrants, like you mentioned earlier with your parents, and I wanted to just give back, and something hit me. I don't know when or exactly the moment that it hit me, but I was like, dude, like, I sat there, and I think it was like this night where I was just sitting there and like, I mean, everything around me, but I'm not truly happy. It's something, I don't know, something kind of missing, and realized that, people always talk about how money doesn't buy you happiness and things like that.
Yeah.
And I always say people are buying the wrong things.
Yeah.
I'm just kidding.
Maybe. Right? No, that's funny. So I decided to, I wanted to do something bigger, right? And I know working that 9 to 5 was making good money, but it wasn't enough to retire them, take care of my families, and help myself as well, and help others, right?
Yeah.
I think just growing up overall, I've always been the type of person that just wants to help out, donations to church and things like that. But I'm like, what? How can I get into what I'm doing on a daily, making money, but also have enough to get, I don't know what enough means, but just to give back, especially to my parents. And so I decided right then and there to leave my career, sell my house. And the reason why I sold my house is because the capital to start something on my own.
Yeah.
So like you mentioned earlier on, not kind of working for someone else. So a small part of it was that. And then a big part was, the why was my parents, basically. And I started my business with Robert, who you met, Ben.
Yeah.
And we went through college together for a little bit, and never really talked because he had his family early and all that. But for some reason, I'll tell you a story about how we kind of got together and started a business. It was Robert, our friend Vu, and myself. We sat down. I forgot where it was. We sat down and we're like, let's start something together. And this is during the time where I was like transitioning on like wanting to start something already.
Yeah.
I didn't know what I was gonna do, so like such great timing where I sat down with them, and we just talked about like just starting maybe a food truck or a dessert, something related to food, because food brings people together. It's everyone loves food. So we decided to wanting to open a dessert shop. And then, long story short, we started looking for leases, so properties, right, on our first location. We started looking, and even then, we didn't have exact like menu. There's no products. There's no, we didn't have a business plan. It's very just like talk, you know. And we talked to a couple landlords, and then Vu was like, "Dude, you guys are crazy. Like, there's no products, no dessert.
Yeah.
Like, why do you guys want to sign and get in? And we're gonna put all this money into it." So Vu just backed out. So it was just Robert and myself. We're just kind of sitting there like, dude, like some of the fun's gone. Vu left. You know, he's still our friend, you know. So we decided to do something more simple instead of just dessert and just having all this, you know, ice cream and drinks, whatever.
Yeah.
We just stuck with what we knew, which was boba. So tea, boba. Have you had boba before?
I've never had it.
You
My
have never
son
had
loves
boba?
it, but I've never had it.
You never
What
had
the
it.
heck?
And then, what, Ben? You never had it, right?
Yeah, I've had boba.
Oh, really?
What the heck?
But you haven't. Yeah, you guys don't drink it, right?
No, I don't drink it. Well, I used to. I used to go all the time.
Really?
And so when I met you,
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, of course. I've had already been to your places.
That's right. And then I just known you as this coffee guy. And I'm like, Ben doesn't drink
Coffee guy.
tea and boba, but
Used to be my jam. I don't drink it as much anymore, but
yeah.
yeah.
So
What is it? What's boba?
boba is tapioca.
Okay.
And imagine soft, chewy
Balls.
Sounds so funny. But you're drinking tea latte. All right, just tea. It's
Okay.
like a latte, but it's with tea.
Yeah, it's you know, like tapioca pudding.
Uh-huh.
It's the little tiny like tapioca balls. It's that, but a little different and bigger.
Okay.
It's hard to explain. Yeah,
Right?
you did a great job, but
I've seen the drinks.
seen it,
and
okay.
I know what it is,
Okay.
but I've never had it.
got it. So
Yeah, I'm scared
you're
of trying new
drinking and
things.
you're eating, chewing at the same time, which is kind of a weird concept,
Yeah.
I think. But
It's
if you-
delicious
Boba.
though.
That's pretty cool.
It's
I
good.
love boba.
Yeah, it's
So
good.
I grew up eating not boba, but all forms of tapioca because I'm Filipino. So my grandma
I
would
didn't even know.
always.
Wait a minute. Really?
Yeah.
I never guessed. Are you half?
I'm
Or
only
you-
half. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. But so I would grow up eating. My grandma would put like random tapioca stuff in all the Filipino
Yeah,
desserts.
yeah,
So,
dude, let's love it. So good.
but yeah, sorry. Go ahead. Go
no,
back to.
no. I love so desserts. But yeah, we just decided to roll with drinks,
Okay.
and we had enough money to open a small location. We started looking around, found the Union Market in Tustin, but they said that their space was full, and then they were saying that Mission Viejo, they're building one in Mission Viejo.
Yeah.
I think that's how I met you.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
And so, we started building, and then during the build, we decided, hey, we should make a product. I think Vu's right. so we started, formulating our drinks and our boba, and just kind of learning everything through YouTube, Google.
Mhm.
That's it's everything you can learn on there now. So that's how it started, and we opened 6 years ago, maybe.
Was it that long?
I think it's been 6 years.
Yeah.
You had a pretty clear vision as to why. Do you think it's for people that are wanting to start a business and maybe start venturing off and doing their own thing? Do you think that they have to be able to recognize or identify why they're doing something, and so that's their like core purpose is for the motivation?
Yeah, if they don't know, I think that's what it is. That's where it is.
Okay.
Right? I believe that. I don't think people come in knowing the why all the time, right?
Yeah.
But they'll figure it out. I think for me, I knew my why.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it wasn't conscious. You know what I mean? I knew how to help them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you had that driving like factor that a lot of people, I think, to like kind of answer that from my perspective
Yeah.
too. I think a lot of people that, and I don't mean this in a disrespectful way, but try to be an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
If they don't have a clear definition of what their why is, like your why was to take care of your family, right? Like
Yeah.
that's freaking motivation in itself.
Yeah.
Like my why is to take care of my family. And I
Yeah.
think when you have those solidified whys, I mean, they're always going to adapt and grow. Like your why could always change.
Sure.
But knowing I want to put food on the table for my family and for my kids and to give my kids everything that they need / I'm going to make them work for it, but to the ability to give that is what helps me put up with the monotonous crap of being a business owner.
Yeah.
But
'cause-
what if that's not enough sometimes? Because
Well,
I had that why when I started my business. I did marketing, I did SEO, websites, social media, all digital marketing, and I was on fire. Within a week, I got my first client. They're paying monthly. I'm rolling. I'm starting off good. But then 3 months down the road, 4 months down the road, things started changing. My business partner leaves. I'm by myself now. I have to learn the back end of business. And I know that, at this time I already had kids, a family, rent. I was like, yes, I'm so motivated right now, but daily would hit a dead end. And it's like, I don't think it was because of my why.
No.
I think the business itself just probably beat me up. And then I'm like finding every excuse and every reason to give people discounts so I can get a client. And now you're having to get new business and trying to keep the current clientele happy. And so my question to that is how effective was a business plan for you, or how smart is it, and this might be a dumb question, but how smart is it to have a business plan but to also have a passion for what you're doing and let that motivate you every day as opposed to just following this map?
I mean, for my story is literally we didn't have anything together. We didn't have any kind of plan. I mean, the business plan was kind of in our heads. Yeah. And the goal is the why, right? The end result is the why, and trying to achieve that. Yeah. And I think to answer that question earlier was that the why is important. I think maybe your why was like providing for your family. Yeah. Right. So the why for me was, helping my parents, but it's like working backwards, right? So like I didn't know what the A and B part was, but I knew how to get to the Z, right? And I think by doing that, working backwards, because that's what business is. Yeah. You work backwards, like the landlord's like, hey, do you have a business plan? Then we wrote one, and then the health department's like, hey, you need this and that. Like, okay, let's do that, right? So it was like really legit working backwards, and almost like the menu, like we didn't have that until later. So I think you can go from A to Z, but I think Z to A, knowing that that Z part, the end result that you want to get to, is so much more powerful. I think either way works, but you're right. I think that why is important.
But you have this target that you want to hit. There's like something that you're like, okay, I need to get to this point, but I need to do all these different things before I get here, and then you just work backwards from that.
Exactly.
I would say, yeah. Well, that's like when in business coaching, like that's my coaching style is literally that. Yeah. Like, hey, tell me what your end dream goal is. And then we're going to say, okay, cool. You want a house on a cliff somewhere. Great. By all means, like have that as a dream. Yeah. But let's backtrack a little bit. How are we going to get there? Yep. How are we going to implement these steps? And then you can share as much as you want of it, but to kind of relate back to what Manny was just saying of, I had all these things happen and then I lost this, I lost that, I had a setback. I mean, with MilkBox, you had some setbacks, I'm assuming.
Oh, of course, yeah.
Right? So let's kind of talk on that of like, you got everything together, you worked backwards, you just kind of went, guns blazing and went for it, which that's my style.
Mine too.
I don't have business plans. I mean, obviously I've had to write them. Right. But after I wrote them, it was more of a, all right, let's put that in the filing cabinet and look back at it never. Yeah. But, to kind of talk to Manny's point of, you still have your why and you know where you're going, but you've had obstacles. You've had some big speed bumps. So what did you do to kind of adapt and to pivot? Like, I think everyone thinks, oh, you open a business and either one, you make it, or you end up becoming like this super successful, everyone knows you. Right. But there's still all the in between, right? Like, and maybe kind of talk to that a little bit.
Yeah, what's interesting is that I was never really conscious of the failures. It's always speed bumps, but things come up and we have to deal with it. I mean, if, like you said, there's always in that between that no one really sees. Yeah. Right. And that's cool that you guys have this platform to share with people that it's not all gravy. You don't open a business and become rich. So in terms of MilkBox, we opened a shop and overall it was really good. I think it's hard for me to really pinpoint the certain examples of setbacks. Right? I can't really sit here and like list you all the setbacks. I think the reason why, because Rob and I have this mindset of, hey, we're just gonna get to our goal. Yeah. Right. So there's issues that always come up. There's maybe staff issues, maybe the drinks aren't perfect, customers feedback, so we're always adapting and moving. And I think both of us, Robert, business partner with MilkBox at the time, right, and myself, we've always never thought about it. And we always like, hey, let's just let's get to work, right? I think same with you, right, Ben?
Yeah.
It was never you. I'm sure you have your moments where like, this sucks. You might want to just give up, whatever, and but you just push through.
Yeah.
So I don't have any examples per se, but I just know that we to this day we we always want to look at the bright side, the good side of it, right? So it's just a quick background. We had 3 locations within a year signing leases, so 3 locations. And now we sold off the location to pivot into something, what we call boba boxes, where we just kind of sell it online directly to consumers. And, some people might look at that as a failure, like, hey, you don't have the shops and going on anymore. But, maybe, but we don't think that way. We just like look at the bright side. Like, hey, we're still moving, we're still growing, we're still doing it a different way. As long as we're able to help people, and that's what we've been doing.
I say I like that pivot though, because I think you made that pivot pre-COVID, right?
Exactly, right before.
So think about like if you would have had the brick and mortars. Like we were talking to Billy a couple weeks ago or last week, whenever that was, and same thing. He's got a supplement business, like nutrition and supplements, and he's got brick and mortars. And we were talking about, having a brick and mortar, like, does it limit your ability to sometimes grow and expand versus creating a product that you can sell online in today's market, especially experiencing what we just did the last year, where having a brick and mortar was honestly, I'm just gonna be super blunt, awful. Like if I could have canceled my brick and mortars and went to like an online base or a subscription model of some sort or something just to get away from a brick and mortar, like that would have been the best pivot ever. Am I grateful I still have them? Of course, but it was those times where it was a year of, man, how do I keep doing this? How do I keep pivoting? How do I do this? And then remembering every day when I went home and seeing my little girl and my wife and now our son, I'm like, that's why. But like, think about if you wouldn't have made that pivot before. It's like sometimes timing is a funny thing. So you guys sold off the locations, which I remember obviously just from being around and knowing you for a little bit, but obviously I was never around like the internals of it. Was it, I guess what was like the deciding factor for you guys to kind of make that decision to let's leave brick and mortar presence? Because dude, you guys had a killer presence, you still do, but these guys were hustling and grinding 24/7. They were doing festivals, they were doing the stuff that I would look at and I'm like, dang, I don't have that hustle anymore. So that's awesome that that watching what you guys did in such a short time frame too was insane. And I commend you guys for that. Like, I loved watching it because I was like, there ain't no way I'm doing that.
No, I appreciate you bringing it up, Ben. It's true. If really looking back, and Rob and I hate to kind of talk about our wins, we just felt like we're just like, sharing too much or whatever you want to call it. But yeah, we were at Coachella and Life is Beautiful in Vegas, and lines are, and it's very exclusive. You can't just get in, right?
Yeah.
A lot of shops apply for it, but we have like long lines making all this money. And you're right. So there's a lot of like wins and things that we look at and like, that like, wow, we've made it, or whatever you want to call it, in, newspapers and things like that. So yeah, I think it's mainly just we're not like too focused on the wins or the losses. We just wanted to get to our why, really. I don't know what we're talking about, but
But does that help you in those setbacks? Is just to keep going, and it's kind of a 2-part question. Like, what have you done when you have those setbacks? Do you just move on and kind of forget about them, and go to where you want to go next? And is that bad? Because are you almost putting that loss to the side and not really reflecting on it or learning from it? Or are you just so focused on your end goal and what's next that you kind of just push through it and do everything you can to say, no, we got to get ready for Coachella this week. We got to go get ready for this. We got to order that. You know, is it a distraction, or is it victory in your opinion, because you're just kind of headed in that direction, have that tunnel vision?
Yeah, it's that victory and just seeing that, and we don't dwell on our issues, our problems, right? I think looking back and just sitting there, you're stalling, and at the same time, if you're looking back at a problem, you're paying rent twice. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's how I like to see it.
That's
Right?
That's good. I like that.
Yeah, and
So looking back at a problem, you're paying rent twice.
yeah, you're not solving anything. I mean, of course, we learn. I mean, just being cliche, you learn from your mistakes, right?
Sure.
But that's for a minute. You know what I mean? So we just keep going. We don't want to spend any more time than we need to. I think that's I've learned that just doing this business stuff.
Yeah.
And so that's what it is. It's just seeing that end goal and just keep going. You know, we had this dream of like having all these locations and this, and all that. So that's where we wanted to go with MilkBox.
Okay.
Yeah. So things change. So back to your question earlier, Ben, on kind of what happened.
Yeah.
We had locations, and we actually got approached by a competitor, someone that's been in the tea industry for years, and they're doing really well. Each store, we know they're very successful, and so we got approached. We sat down with them, and they made us an offer. They said that, hey, if you guys will grow with us, we're going to start franchising, basically expand with us, you're going to make all this money, blah, 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 right?
Yeah.
And the caveat is that we actually have to sell off our locations. So, man, I remember just having that meeting, Rob and I were just kind of sitting there, and then for days just deciding what the hell should we do.
Yeah.
Right? And we're like, one, if we do this and go with them, we know we'll be good in terms of financially, because we're just, the whole point is just getting to our end goal, right?
Yeah.
And Rob, by the way, he's not here, but he has a very similar story on just giving back to his mom.
Yeah.
Right. So that's both our why. So it matches, I think. So if you want to ask about partnership, I think that's important.
Yeah.
It's to align people, with similar values and similar whys. And but yeah, we where I was going with this, we basically were putting our locations on basically on for to sell, and then we had all these offers coming in, and people know our brand. Like Ben said, we're somewhat on the map, in Orange County.
No, they were pretty popular. He's being modest.
Thank you, I appreciate that. And so, yeah, and I'm thinking right now, just because I'm going back to that feeling, and it's like torn, right? Like part of me is like this dream of just expanding ourselves, and being, it was interesting, because even though for us it's like that route A and B, right? A meaning that we're gonna go with our own brand, and expand, or B, going with something that's more established, or friends, right? Competitor, you want to call them. We can kind of get to that end goal faster.
Yeah.
Right. So we started selling off our location. We actually sat down we had maybe 40, 50 staff at the time. We had a big group meeting, and really going away. We're like, hey guys, like we're gonna basically pivot, right, into going with this other group, and then we kind of told them our whys, and they knew our whys, but just kind of reaffirming that, and saying that we're gonna solve for locations, and that this is what we need to do, and hopefully you guys understand, right? And our staff, all the time, they're so sweet, and they all understood. So that's what we did, and very last moment, I don't know kind of how long that took, but Rob and I looked at each other and said, you know what, we can't do that. We can't give up on our dream. And even though our why, it's still kind of get to our why.
Yeah.
We still want to take that road, with our brand. So we changed our mind, and even though we're selling off a location, we're like, okay, what can we do that still continue our brand? Hence the boba boxes where we're selling online. What's cool about the boxes now, though, is that not that we didn't do that before during our shops, but we're giving pretty much all of it to help the homeless, to help feed the homeless.
Okay.
Working through Bracken's Kitchen. They're a pretty big kitchen in Santa Ana, or like Santa Ana, Garden Grove, like on the border, but really awesome. Basically, a group. They take donations, mainly food, and they cook them and distribute it to homeless people around Orange County. I think some in LA as well. But we're talking about like hundreds. Like I think they're like, oh, we're sending out 800 meals today.
Dang.
You know, so they're doing really God's work, right? And we're there just to kind of support that.
So I'm sure your why hasn't changed probably, but have you added to that where you feel like you're working or living with more purpose?
Yeah. So exactly. So that's cool that you brought that up, because it hasn't changed, but now we're being more fulfilled. You know, what's cool now is that our, Robert's mom, my parents, in the beginning they're like, what the hell are you guys are doing? You know, leaving your job, selling your house. But now they're so happy and supportive. And it's almost like we got there. It's almost like we were able to, I wouldn't say retire them. We're able to give them some back, right? But at the same time, that happiness that you see in their eyes now, like being so proud of us, it means so much. And at the same time, like you mentioned, Manny, that we're helping out others as well, not just our parents and our families, but hundreds of people
that
needs help. So exactly, I think our why expanded.
Sure.
And it's such a great feeling. If I had to explain to you guys and the audience on where my life is now and how I'm feeling, is that it's a sense of peace and purpose. I didn't have that before during the 9 to 5. I was just working for money and, living day by day in a way.
Well, then that alone is worth it,
Yep.
If you're going to have that peace and purpose and have some direction, you kind of know where you're going. But why do you think it is that a lot of times, especially in Asian cultures or Hispanic cultures, the people that love you the most are not that they don't believe in you, but they're like, hey, what are you doing?
Right.
Like, we want that security blanket for you guys. We want you to do what's best for your family because this is how we did it.
Yep.
You guys need to go have a 9 to 5. Like I was telling you, when I had my son, my dad, the first thing he told me was, go get a job that has benefits, that has a retirement plan, and that you can support your family with.
Yep.
And so I did. I started working. I worked at AT&T. I worked at, I used to deliver candies and deliver chips to different grocery stores because I knew I was getting paid a certain amount every week. And there's a comfort in that.
Yep.
And I think that's why, because I've done both. I went 9 to 5 to starting my own business, back to 9 to 5. And now I'm just like, man, I not that desire was never there, but now being older and more mature and knowing that I have to provide for my family and that's number one.
Yeah.
Is like that. There's no way I can fail.
Right.
Because if I do get knocked down, I'm gonna get back up. But why do you think it is that, especially in our cultures, people that love you the most sometimes are the ones that are telling you not to pursue those dreams or to push yourself?
Yeah, that was a great question. I think for me is that it's what they know, right? At least for my parents.
Yeah.
Right, I'm sure with you as
That's
well,
what I say, yeah.
Ben, is that they know that, hey, you go to school, you finish college, you get into a career. I mean, originally my parents wanted me to be a doctor, right?
Yeah.
And I'm like, I'm not going to be a doctor, but I'll have a nice job, right?
Yeah.
And it's very linear, right? And I think, and to be fair, they grew up in a different time, and you can't knock them for that, right? So for me, it's knowing that nothing's secure. I mean, I just throughout life for me, because I obviously, with you guys, I grew up in a different time than them. And so realizing that earlier on, that even though you have a 9 to 5, you can still get laid off, fired, right? And it's nothing secured. But you're right. There's some comfort in knowing that that linear journey can get you to where you need to be. But for me, it's like I didn't mind risking it. But of course, I think, to be fair, it's more about just them not knowing, you know?
Yeah, the
It's
unknown
not
for
having
people.
the knowledge.
Yeah.
But it's also one of those things too, and this is different for every generation, but
Yeah.
like learning to be comfortable in the uncomfortable. Like being an entrepreneur and a business owner is you got to learn to be comfortable when it ain't comfortable. And then the
Yeah.
same thing for like the older generation is they had to be comfortable being uncomfortable, figuring out how am I going to provide for my family.
Yeah.
You know, things have changed so much where for us now, yeah, there's risk obviously, but it's also a lot easier to also create something now versus back then because of the power of, you know, social media and
Internet.
technology. Like back then with our parents and grandparents, dude, they're uncomfortable being comfortable was maybe just figuring out how to secure a job.
Yep.
You know, so
Just
it
how
is
to land it.
yeah, so
Yeah.
it's just definitely
How-
a different world.
How do you guys feel? I don't know if you guys ever thought about this, but being the business owner, but knowing that when you got started, you were using, not using an employer, but you, like you had mentioned, you know that having a 9 to 5 can help get you to where you want to get
Yeah.
as being an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
How do you guys feel being employers, knowing that there may be someone like
Using
that?
us.
Yeah, essentially, yeah,
Yeah.
using you guys.
I'll let you
Yeah.
go first.
Yeah, dude, I have a great answer for you guys because I actually said this to my staff just yesterday, which is
Yeah.
perfect timing. There were two of them working at the store, and by the way, I love my staff. I wish them the best, and the reason why I'm saying this is because kind of explaining to me why I said this to them is that I'm like, hey guys, I don't want to see you guys here more than like 2 years, maybe a year.
Oh, wow.
And the reason why I'm saying this, because I had to explain my why to them and why I said that, is because not that I don't want you guys here, and they know that I really appreciate them and want to keep them forever.
Yeah.
But I said that the reason why is because, back then when I was working my 9 to 5 in the beginning, that my boss at the time said, "Hey Truong, I see a lot of potential in you. I see that you can do a lot more than just being here." And I was making pretty good money, right?
Mm-hmm.
But he said, he said the same thing. I don't want to see you here more than a year. And I was like, why? Why the hell don't you want me here for, whatever? And he said that the same thing. He said, so there's so much potential. I want you to keep progressing, keep doing better. I don't want you to just do the same thing over and over. Because there's some people, not to knock on certain people, they're there for like 20 years, and it's fine if you can secure, whatever makes you happy, right? So I'm not knocking that. I think my life is different. Like I just want to be this, wealthy person to give back to others. Yeah. And that's my happiness, right? So everyone have their own kind of, roadmap.
So they just never got uncomfortable. People living that way are just kind of cruising. Like,
yeah,
hey,
but like I said, nothing wrong with that. If you're happy, so that's my thing. If you're happy and you're not complaining, dude, that's a win.
Yeah,
that's what it is.
Yeah, not everyone's cut out to have the unknown be their life.
Yeah,
and that's totally okay.
Yeah, and the flip side is that a lot of business owners, that they're unhappy as well. So whether it's whether you have a business or it's just really up to you, right? For me, it's doing my own thing. But the point was, I said to my staff, I'm like, that's why I said, and they understood after a while. And like, oh, they kind of looked at each other, like, you're right. And I said, I don't want to see you working at another cafe or similar shop or whatever, because I want you guys to do better, make more money, give back, whatever, And to me, that's very powerful because that's something that I've learned. Yeah. And to share that, I think that's, it's something that I think anybody can take from. Whether you're working within that company, you can always progress. Whether you're, doing something else, you can always find an additional, whatever to help you with your goal, right? So that's all it is.
That's rad.
Yeah. No, I like that because it's true. I mean, we actually just hired somebody on Thursday. What's today? Thursday. And I said something similar where I said, hey, I get that a coffee shop job is an in-between pit stop. I get it. But I think what my hope would be for people that are kind of in that season of, I hope that they've learned something, whether it was from me, through just being around our business, through a customer, whatever it was, their time at Hidden House. I hope they learn something that helps progress them forward. If people end up staying with us for a little bit, great. If not, like, I hope they took something to be able to help themselves progress forward in life. So very similar.
Yeah.
Which is awesome, like kind of listening to your story. And we were saying this off air, but I've known you for a while now, but I didn't really know every detail, which is obviously impossible. But going from that 9 to 5, taking that risk, that journey, and progressing forward and moving forward and starting your own concept, that's led you into obviously a life of being what we kind of said earlier as a serial entrepreneur. Maybe kind of just share with us a little bit about what you are doing, as much as you want, as little as you want. Just so people can kind of see, like, you had a 9 to 5, you got your start, you went from brick and mortars to the Boba Box, which everyone should go check out, especially since it supports a good cause. But you went from all that, and then I know you as a different form now, and so kind of just talk on how you can literally take that 9 to 5, take that like first step and that risk and turn it into what you're doing. And hopefully that encourages some people.
Yeah, I think taking that first risk, that, hey, I can keep doing this. It's not scary anymore, right? Because the unknown is scary until you figure it out, until you experience it, and that you get comfortable with it. So you can do it. I know I can now open stores anytime I wanted to, right? So the next shop for me was Berry Brand, and Berry Brand, it's a build your own acai bowl concept. Started off in Tustin, so I opened that, and now we have Cerritos that opened up last year, and they're doing really well. And then
the bowls are bomb, by the way.
Are they?
Thank you. Yeah, you should.
I need them.
You need to stop by. No, it's good for you. There's some sugar, but overall, it's really good. And I opened that, and we're signing 2 more leases. I won't say where, but we're growing pretty fast, I think, and
that's cool.
Doing really well. But my end goal is not just having shops, and nothing wrong with the shops.
Yeah.
But just to do something where I can not be, how would I say this, having passive income. So I like just being able to, have people, basically, first of all, provide work for people, right? Second of all is to, gets my goal, and then third is really just to have that passive income where I don't have to, be in the I guess the day in, day out part of it.
Yeah.
And nothing wrong with that, but I've been through it already, so I just like to wake up and like realize that I made money, right?
Right.
So I, myself and a couple friends, we started doing Airbnbs. I'm also into stocks. I was doing a couple of exotic rentals. I'm also a consultant, by the way, helping a couple of businesses, one in Texas. But the point I'm trying to make is I'm just trying to, yes, it's serial entrepreneur, and I don't really think of myself that way. I just like to, do different things just because I enjoy it.
We have different interests.
Exactly. And, it's okay to change your mind, right? Hence, us switching from, MilkBox to Boba Boxes. And, but yeah, that's the point. It's just doing all those, I would say, projects.
Yeah.
But I love it, and it's making me money and getting to my goal. And, yeah.
Well, I think it helps grow your skill set. It helps grow you as a person. And now if anyone needs advice in running a business, if they need, knowing what the best exotic car is or whatever, you can be an asset now.
Yeah.
Do you look at it like that where you how do you view growth, I guess is the better question, because is your goal in your heart always for people, like, hey, well, if I do this, I can help that person. If I know a little bit about this, I can sprinkle some of my knowledge here. Like how do you view growth, and what does growth mean to you?
Yeah, a great question. So for me is I mean, you could do one thing. For me, it's I get bored like really easily, right? So I like to, and I'm also curious, right? So I like to kind of see like how can I get into that, and be successful, and then like you said, just help others and give back my knowledge or resources, whatever it is. But yeah, I'm just very curious. Just like doing different things, and even if I myself get bored easily, within the same business, you can pivot. You can do other things. You can have different products. You can change the way your service is. Whatever it is. So for me, growth is just the knowledge, just getting more of, I guess, experience life more. You know what I mean? At the end of the day.
Once you've had the taste of risk, it kind of like makes the, for lack of better terms, bitterness of risk go away.
Yeah.
And it now becomes part of what you are and what you crave in a way. Because I know over the years, I've constantly reached out to him like, Truong, what's good right now? What do you got going on? when you don't forget about me, like, because I have the same like mindset of, it's almost like a professional strategic problem solver, right? Like you need to find problems to solve, but strategically, because you're not going to jump off the deep end into every little thing unless it made sense. That's where like the strategic part comes in.
Yeah.
But I've literally hit him up over the years so many times. I'm like, I saw him doing Airbnbs, like putting furniture together, and I would like message him. I'm like, bro,
what are you doing?
You need some help?
Yeah.
I think it's addicting because you take that risk and you get that victory. It's like fighting.
Dude, it's addicting.
You put in so much time and effort and energy, just like in business. And when you get that small victory, you're like, I want more of this.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Because you have the discipline, you have the knowledge, you have the work ethic, and you learn from all of it. And you're like, man, if I could do it in this avenue, and I did it in this aspect, why can't I do it here? And so you just challenge yourself, and you're like, hey, well, I want to grow. I want to do different things.
Yeah.
Like he's talking about doing some things outside of podcasting, outside of business coaching. I'm like, you're nuts, bro.
And they don't even make
so fun.
Yeah, that's what I said. It would be, and it's like things that necessarily wouldn't make the most money, but it would make me so freaking happy.
Yeah.
And honestly, we were just saying off air, like one of like the coolest things about us partnering together on the podcast was like, I could have done it on my own, but like I was saying to you, like 11 years of doing this, I'm like, I don't want to do anything on my own anymore. Like I use the resources you have. Use the relationships we've built, and take what my business has done for me, and one, be able to give back and help others, but two, be able to help myself, ultimately help my family, And it's just about building relationships and community and continuing to just always want to become better.
Yeah.
And the episode we did a couple weeks ago, I don't know if you've had a chance to listen to it, but we literally talked about what being gritty is. And I was telling Manny that like the term grit is always thrown around. People think it's like a cowboy term, or, like you think grit, like, oh, I just bit some sand or something like that. But truly being gritty in life and in business is literally having the ability to persevere, adapt, constantly change, constantly deal with crap in order to get to your end goal or your why. And so just kind of listening to you go back and talk about all that stuff is really rad, because again, I've known you, we see each other and see what we're doing. One day he was like cruising around in those slingshot Polaris cars, and I was like, bro, I want to ride one of those. Like just like those stupid quirky things, but it's like
I want one. Building
the relationship through our businesses is what's enabled organic things like this. So man, just I was excited to just kind of hear how you went, because I never asked how you went from brick and mortar to online, and then obviously it projected you into all these other things that you're doing. So it was really cool to kind of hear a piece of that. I didn't know you worked in computer security essentially.
Security. So I was a security engineer, but yeah.
My brain couldn't even do that. So that's that's rad.
Thank you.
And so do you have like what's one, we always kind of ask this, like it's a cheesy question, but it's so true. Like if you can kind of go back to the you before you made the leap and the risk of starting your own thing, when you had the security, what's one bit of advice that you could take through the last several years and give yourself, or to a listener that's maybe on the fence of, hey, I have a 9-to-5, but I really want to kind of take that jump. What do I do? And give them one little bit of information, and then we'll kind of wrap
Just
it up.
Nugget.
Yeah, no, great question. I think the what, right? What to do you just have to. First of all, it sounds so cliche, right? But just follow your heart. And let me explain. And what that means for me is, let's say that person, right? The audience is listening. They want to do a certain thing, an X, right? Let's say like X or Y or Z, whatever you want to call it. Just for me, it's doing it and not listening to others, right? And not in a negative way, but you're going to have a lot of naysayers.
Yeah.
Right? There's a lot of no's. When I first, talked about selling my house to start a boba company, like what the heck, right?
Yeah, people probably looked at you like you were dumb.
99.9% of people say, no, don't do it. You're crazy. You're going to, you're going to fail. You're going to lose money, blah, blah, whatever it is, but I didn't listen to them. But at the same time, there's people out there that will take certain advice or whatever seriously. But at the same time, my thing is, if I had to tell my younger self, or younger, but before the business, aspect of it, is to just keep going and not be distracted by chatter. Does that make sense?
Clear out the noise.
Yeah, and like I said, cliche, but just believe in yourself, just do it, and the what, hopefully they'll figure it out. But yeah, know your purpose, right? And know what you're building, know what you're doing. Right now I can get into anything I want to because, I can, or I feel like I can, right?
Yeah.
And know, like you said, if there's failures, I'll keep going. And also at the same time, if someone's listening right now that doesn't have the what, is to try different things. Like, think about it, right? You're not going to know if you like chocolate ice cream if you haven't tried it.
Yeah.
Right?
That's
so
good.
You got to keep trying different flavors. You got to just experience just things, be curious about it, right? And just do different things until you find out what you love. And then you already have your why, and then just kind of proceed and go from there.
Nice.
That's cool.
Yeah.
So literally just don't be afraid and just do it.
Yeah.
Really, yeah. Just
I like
do it.
that.
Well, where can people find you? Where can they find your businesses? Just go ahead and give a shout out. Where can social media and things like that?
Yeah. Well, first of all, I just want to say thank you guys, Manny and Ben, for doing this. And we're just, the whole point is just giving back and helping others.
Yeah.
Listening, and even just one person, can listen to this and feel like it, our conversation helped them. Yeah. Then that's a win, right?
Heck
so
yeah.
just want to say
100%.
thank you. But yeah, you can find me on Instagram at Ologic, just the letter O and then the word logic. I used to be a DJ. My last name is not Logic, but I used to be a DJ. Legit, it was DJ Logic, and then the actual DJ Logic, I think somewhere on the East Coast, he came up. I'm like, hey, he stole my name. But anyways, that was during in college. But yeah, Ologic on Instagram, Facebook. I think you just type in Truong Kim, Truong. Mainly on Instagram though. But yeah.
And all your businesses are on there? All the different businesses?
I list them exactly on Instagram.
So I'm going to say it for you just so you don't feel weird. Berry Brand at Union, at the district in Tustin. It's really dope. Great bowls. My wife is obsessed with acai bowls, so that's a good one. And then is it on the MilkBox website to get the boba box? Or
yeah, exactly. Okay. So MilkBox Bar.
Okay, milkboxbar.com.
Yeah,
that's pretty dope. If you're into boba or anything like that, make sure you try it. And I didn't know it goes to a good cause. See, you learn something new every day.
You didn't know this?
Yeah, no, I honestly didn't know that. Well, I tried to stay away from social media as much as I can, unless I'm using it for a reason. So that's probably why.
I get it.
But, dude, thank you again. I appreciate you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks, guys.
Good.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Well, thank you so much for coming on. And remember, guys, that everything was impossible until someone did it. So, guys, remember to like, share, and subscribe to our channel. You can find us on YouTube at youtube.com/The Fight Within Podcast. Find us on all audio platforms, including Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, iHeartRadio, anywhere you guys like to listen to it. Thank you so much for your support. Thank you for continuing to listen to it and watch it. We can see the growth on our analytics, and just want to thank you guys for supporting us. This episode of the podcast is brought to you by Kingdom Nutrition. Make sure you guys go and visit their site over at kingdomnutrition.com and enter promo code MFW10 to get 10% off your next purchase. Kingdom Nutrition carries the best sports supplements on the market. They manufacture and curate their own line of supplements with the highest quality ingredients, including a lean protein, weight gainer protein, pre-workout, BCAAs, and an array of other products. They've recently created the world's first vegan chickpea protein, and it tastes amazing. I'm a big dude. I like food, and I like chocolate. So when they told me it comes in chocolate and vanilla, I got really happy. But if you're a workout enthusiast and you want to change up your diet, change up your protein, go check out their vanilla chickpea protein. It mixes well with anything. It'll blend great with a smoothie. So to get your hands on any of these products, just make sure and go visit kingdomnutrition.com. Remember to enter promo code MFW10 and get 10% off your next purchase. Let's go.